Everybody, thanks for stopping by. A little Wednesday edition of WPT in 30. Jason and Tommy M joining you. Joe is just taking it easy this week. They him and Megan, Tommy were heading out to Western Canada, Vancouver, and gonna hit Oregon. We were talking about it last week, so I'm sure they're having a wonderful time. But although we missed Joe, hasn't slowed the company down in terms of three new pickups this week at
Yeah.
OBS June.
Yeah, very exciting, especially with the news of just picking up a third here about what, 10, 15 minutes ago. So I think a great way to wrap up our 2-year-old buying season so far with the three that we brought home, and very exciting to get them out to their trainers, one going to Arno, one going out west, and then other going up to Miguel, New York. So I think we covered a lot of bases there, and a great way to wrap it up. And then we'll get going with these three, and then start heading to some of the yearling sales.
Absolutely. And in the meantime, before the August Saratoga sale, and we'll have our first crack at the Flightline yearlings. That'll be sort of the major, buzz line or major, sort of pre yearling sale subject. That's going to be a big deal. We've got 2-year-old racing in addition to the entire stable, coast to coast. And I think that is a good jumping off point, my friend, as we just take a quick step back to last week. In fact, last Thursday. All right, let me share my screen, optimize for video, and let's hop on over to Curtain Call, who I'm not wrong, right, Tommy? He was our second 2-year-old to run this year.
Mhm.
Liberation would have been the
Yeah.
first one. He was number two. You were at the race, dude. I am going to hit play, and I mean, aside from not winning, thought he did just about everything pretty well for a Mark Casse trained firster.
Yeah, I think just like you said, I think he did everything right. The only thing you could have asked him to do would be hit the wire first. And I think just a case of second best today, that winner, the winner was the four here, just ran off on everybody and was never going to come back. But I thought he broke really well and he rated really well outside. And turning here for home, I started to get pretty excited. He starts to range up and
Mm.
starts to close the gap on the two in front of him, and then he starts to go wide, and I'm thinking he's making a really nice move, which he does. And the Ward horse, you can see, starts to back up, but he runs on really well. And I think this is a race where he's going to get a lot out of it. And you can see the four kicking away here, but our man Curtain Call comes and fights along gamely, and he puts away this Ward horse on the inside and holds on for second. So I think on a first effort, it's something that he's going to get a lot out of, and I think he's only going to get better, especially with now having this under his belt and a little extra ground as well.
And Mark even sort of referenced an effort like this. Like, we like the horse, he likes the horse a lot, but really not super cranked up to win first time out. And you're going to see, like I think you intimated, we'll see a springboard of sorts from that first to second start for Curtain Call. How was the winner, by the way? Obliteration. It was a cult by Violence, trained by Steve Asmussen, who I believe they bought at OBS March. It was either March or April. I think it was March. How is that horse 10-1? I mean, he ran not only a pretty fast race for the second week of June, he got a 75 Beyer, and looks like a horse to me that would probably go from that race right into the Sanford up here on opening Saturday. But I don't know. I don't know how that horse was an 8-5. Even having a Ward and a couple of Coxes and our horse in the race, winner was really good.
Yeah, really, really impressive. And I mean, you can see right here inside the quarter pole, he just opens up, and I knew we weren't going to catch him there, but regardless, I still was really proud of the effort here. And we were, and something I want to note too, we had the two bearing down on the outside, and he was able to hold him off, get to the wire first ahead of him. So that's just always something I look for with these young horses is, are they going to be game enough to put horses away on their inside that they're passing, tired horses, and are they going to be game enough to hold off horses coming after them on the outside, which in this case, Curtin Call did both. So I think just overall a great education, and we saw a similar thing last year with the 2-year-old for the Mark Casse barn debuting at Churchill in June and going on to do some pretty awesome things. So hopefully this is just the start of a pretty fun year for our guy Curtin Call.
Right, and I think I know which horse you're talking about. A big great colt by Tappet named Sandman. So yes, the future present looks solid. Future looks even better for Curtin Call. Came out of the race in good shape, and can't wait to have him up in Saratoga for the summertime. So looking at a brief snapshot of the stable and our runners last weekend, and we were running for the most part in higher level races, a couple of stakes, some allowance events. It was mixed, I think, to say the least. Starting out, and we'll get to Pony Express, who won pretty late out west on Father's Day. I mean, he was absolutely monstrous. But starting with Stretch Ride, why don't we wrap up, Tommy? The two other horses that ran for us at Churchill Downs last week, Stretch Ride and Mila Rose. Neither one of them really ran well. I mean, clearly Mila Rose is going to go back on the dirt. She did not handle the turf. I can't say I was overly confident that Stretch Ride was going to run this monstrous race in the field that he was in against, but I'd be lying if I said I didn't expect a little more out of him.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat as you. I thought we'd see a little bit more, and was a little disappointed after that just to see him flat. But I think as we talked with Dale yesterday on our Tuesdays at 2, he had mentioned looking for some potential class relief moving forward up at Horseshoe Indy, and then potentially even trying on the turf, which obviously we bought him overseas where he breathes on the turf, which he went over really well. So I think that might be a great spot to drop him back in, just really pick up that confidence. And you can see a lot of these horses are when they start getting beat a lot, their confidence gets down. So if you're able to get them into spots where they feel good about themselves, they're happy, they're going to start running better. And I know Dale had noted, his figures haven't taken a massive drop, so it's not like the figures have just fallen off of a huge, plateau or something. It's just 2x allowance, especially here in Kentucky. It's a really, really tough condition to get through for any horse, and we're seeing that with Stretch Ride. So I think getting a little bit of a change of scenery in terms of track and maybe surface as well is going to help him moving forward.
Okay, I like that. I like both. I have no issue at all trying him on the grass at this point, and a little class relief might be in order as well. As far as the two shug horses that ran out of town, and when I say out of town, I mean not running in New York. To me, that's out of town. Signator thought he would run just flat out better. Um, I really thought he would run a little bit better than he did actually in his race on Saturday at Monmouth Park. Wasn't going to be Chad's horse, of course, but Shug wants to look for firmer ground and a three other than for him, and then you got Dripping Gold, who ran actually a pretty good race. Tommy just got a little tired late off the layoff,
Yeah,
but I was pretty encouraged, and I didn't notice until now. Dude, 93 Beyer, not
93. I
bad,
just
not
looked
bad.
too. That's impressive. And he did all the heavy lifting in that race, going to the front. Um, and he had company off his hip the whole time. So of course, when you're going that long, a mile and a half, that's not really an ideal situation. You would ideally want to get loose on the lead and be able to set some soft fractions and have horse turn it for home and go on with it. But for him to dig in and to run fourth on a pretty blanket finish there, I thought was a great effort from him. And can remind me of his effort a little bit. It looked different at Kentucky Downs, but just how game he ran that day he looked similar to me, running back, and just and that 93 is impressive. Again, running fourth and getting a 93 buyer is always a good thing.
It absolutely is, and came out of the race in good shape. Happy to report that. We'll look for maybe a three other than Doug was saying, maybe slightly shorter than the trip that he was in on Saturday at Delaware Park. Along the lines of Delaware, not a good effort out of Pascaline. How were you feeling, Tommy, going into the second turn? Like the far turn run, dude, he was
I,
cruising. We're in a good spot. I was like, oh, here we go. And then he kind of dropped the anchor, I think,
yeah.
back to one turn. But were you feeling as good as I was going in like to the half mile pole?
Yeah, I thought where he was, especially, he starts ranging up and thinking, all right, we got to run down Admiral Dennis, and he looked like he was just rearing to go, ready to fire, and then just looked like he ran into a wall and just stopped on us. And I think like you just said, maybe one turn mile, maybe a little cutback is going to be what's best for him. And I mean, 76 isn't horrible, but we've seen
Not
better
awful. Not
from
awful. He's
him.
better than that, though.
Yeah,
I
we've
like,
seen better, and I think
yes.
that cutback is really, I think eventually going to be helpful for him. Just we think he's done his best racing a little bit shorter than the distance of the Delaware Derby. But like you said, into the turn, I thought we had a really good chance to catch a piece of it, and it just wasn't meant to be.
It wasn't. Speaking of one turn, there's a West Virginia bred because he is, after all, a West Virginia bred by Upstart. There's a stake, 75K stake, in about a month's time for him around one turn. And I think that's a custom made spot for him. Imagine he'd be a pretty big favorite there, get him back on track and going in the other direction. But came out of the race in good shape. And then we had the two boys, the two WPT Mike Talla boys out west for John Sadler, late on the Father's Day card, and a belated happy Father's Day to all the West Point dads out there, including your pops, Dan Murphy,
Yes,
who's got a piece of dripping gold. I hope you called him up, my friend, on Sunday to wish him a happy Father's Day.
I did, and I called him up yesterday. It was his birthday, so two for one, and we got to get him a win here soon to as a late gift, hopefully.
Absolutely. Well, I'm glad he's in on the new Charlatan filly, feeling groovy. Who I hope the next time both Indispensable, who's in our colors, the black and gold, sitting fifth as they enter the backstretch, and he clearly didn't run anywhere near to his best. Hopefully, he needed the race, and hope I'm feeling groovy, and we're all feeling groovy the next time Pony Express runs. This may have been a coming out party for the 4-year-old son of Gunrunner Tommy, who's got a lot of ability and a lot of early speed.
Yeah, and I had, memories of his maiden win when in the turn he starts opening up. And I don't do it often, but I knew once he starts opening up here, I'm like, this race is so far over. He's gonna win by as much as he wants. No one's catching him, and just the speed he has. And there's, at least for me, as just a racing fan in general, horses with speed like this, I just tend to
Hmm.
fall over them. They're just so flashy, they're so fast, they're so good. And this was I haven't seen a horse put some lengths on a field like this into the turn, like since really honestly Flightline. I'm not saying he's the next Flightline or anything, but I had shades of that opening up on field into the turn out west at Santa Anita. So that was it was a great effort from him. And like you said, I really think it was a coming out party. When he's geared down here long before the wire. So that was a great effort.
Yeah, yeah. I kind of in the excitement of winning, I don't think I realized how tight a hold the rider had on him in deep stretch. I think was that Rispoli who was on
Mhm.
him.
I think
Was it
so.
Rispoli? Yeah. In fact, why don't we take a look
Yeah,
at
the
the
chart.
chart right here? Yeah, let's. But yeah, grabbed the hold of him. Race came up fast. Water will get deeper. Naturally, I think you might be looking at potentially jumping into a stakes race. I mean, a two other than out on the West Coast. I can't imagine. I didn't look, which maybe I should have, but I can't imagine those are all that commonplace out there. So you got Nysos, who I'm a fan of. That horse is potentially freakish when he's on his game. I know he's going to the San Diego. We'll see ultimately where we go with Pony Express. But yes, Rispoli was on him in hand late, 101 Beyer. We like it. And, indispensable Tommy, some ring rust for him. He's not as flashy. I mean, he is very grindy, has that relentless come at you and no quit running style. He's just not comparable to Pony Express just as far as their running styles go, but gotta think he'll get a ton out of that race.
Yeah, I think so. And at the end of the day, I think that he just needed the race coming off that extended layoff. And you see a lot with horses where sometimes they just need to get back to the races, knock some of that rust off, and then they'll move on and to bigger and better things.
All right. Well, we're going to do that Thursday at the Big A. And assuming the weather's okay, and it's been cold and rainy, I know I shared some video of our Knicks Go Colt yesterday, named Ewing, who worked like a machine from the starting gate. It's just been, I kind of miss the sun here in Saratoga. And if the weather's good, I think I'm going to take the drive from the spa downstate. I don't have that many personal Big A trips left in me. So we're running Wrighton in the second and then Cugino a bit later on in the day. This could be, if this gets rained off and the forecast is a little iffy as we tape this thing Wednesday morning, this might be like a record because this horse, Tommy, in terms of race is not going, the weather. I think this is either the fourth or fifth time we've had him entered. So, yes, please. We want to just see, even if he gets beat, we want to see right in race.
Yes, I'm just hoping keep it on and just get this horse going, get him started. I think, like you said, a lot of bad luck has been in this horse's career so far. So time to move on past that to bigger and better things, get him into the starting gate and see what he can do.
And you've got along the on to bigger and better things. Not that we're rushing tomorrow, but we want, and we expect Cugino to run a big race. It's a three other than in New York in mid June. It is not a field of pushovers, but Shug is like uber bullish the way this horse has been training at Belmont Park this spring, and I'd like to think the horse runs giant tomorrow and we can potentially step back up in a stakes company. But again, not getting ahead of our skis. He's gonna, Tommy, Cugino's gonna have to be on his game. I mean, this is not a spot where we're gonna be 3 to 5 just because we had a stakes quality 3-year-old last season.
Exactly. And like you said, this is I mean, you could honestly almost make the case for this to be a black type stake event, just with the horses in the field and the races some of these horses have won. And, coming off the layoff for Gugino, like you said, Shug's pretty bullish on him. I'm excited to get him back to the races and to see what he's able to do. We get Irad back in the irons, who piloted him in the Tropical Park Derby back in December to that win. So I've been waiting to get him back to the races. Of course, you know how much we all love Adorable Miss here at West Point. So excited about that. And I think we should get a little help in terms of some pace up front to run at with strong quality, who's just been known to take off and go in a lot of his races. So hopefully we get a little bit there. Maybe Exact Estimate's going to want to go with him as well. So hopefully they can go up front and help set it up for us.
What's the repeat looking like jumping ahead to Saturday in your neck of the woods with the grade 2 Chicago at Churchill Downs? This race, and it was a grade 3 last year, so it was upgraded. This is this is a pretty nice group of older fillies and mares, my friend. Led, of course, by Vava, who last week we talked about a couple of horses, Stretch Ride being among them. A pivotal kind of weekend. I think that is probably a very similar sentiment and an equal narrative, if you will, to Vava, who, I mean, she, even if she gets beat Saturday, we gotta see better than we've seen, certainly out of her last two, and I would argue maybe even her last three races going back to Travers Day last summer.
Yeah, I'd love to see her run back to that. Honestly, if we can get that same kind of effort we did last year in this race where she turned in a 99 Beyer, I'd put a smile on my face. But this is going to be no easy task. This field is as loaded as they come under the lights at Churchill Downs as well. It's going to be Downs after dark
Ooh,
Saturday. So,
10:15 almost,
oh
man. You
yeah.
better you better go to bed early Friday. I want you tan rested and ready, my friend, because it's certainly past my bedtime. But for Vava, I stayed up for the Panthers last night. Congrats, by the way, on their second Stanley Cup win. It's why I might sound a touch groggy, and I will be staying up for Vava on Saturday, and hopefully looking for you in the winner circle, pal. But yeah, she's going to need her running shoes against horses like Emery.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the field. I mean, Emery all the way to the outside. You see a horse like My Main Squeeze, who won the Dogwood last year at Churchill. Zieltos, who's been in just really good form for Steve Asmussen. And then obviously, like you said, Emery, Bright Work, Grade One winner. So this is a loaded field. I think it's going to be end up being a great race, and I would love nothing more to see Vava get back to form, her winning ways, repeat in the Chicago, and we can get back rolling with her.
Absolutely. So three new 2-year-olds from OBS June. We've got the battalion runner gelding, now named Army Man, heading out to Mike McCarthy, who trains for us. He's done an excellent job with Bullard, and of course was once again in the literally the national spotlight all spring long, or even late winter into spring with journalism. So that's exciting. Arnold, who many of us love in the company here, my friend, deep respect for him. He's getting the Ontario bred filly by Collected, and wouldn't it be nice if she turns out to be basically Northern Invader 2.0, like the Philly version of Northern Invader. How nice would that
That
be?
would be cool. I mean, you get both Ontario bred, same breeder. They look similar. Obviously, both collectively have the big blaze, and we all know I love Northern Invader, aka Chonk. So maybe she can be Chonk 2.0 for Arno. I'm excited about that. She looks like a pretty filly, and hopefully she can do what basically her brother Northern Invader has done for us.
And it's been a busy time up here, just running the stable for Miguel Clement. He'll be getting the practical joke, New York bred practical joke. And I was thinking about this right before you and I hit the record button. I mean, we all love the New York bred program. I certainly do. And it's important that the company support the New York bred program. But at this point, at the rate we're going, it's not going to be all that far off in the future. Thinking of the new Belmont Park, my friend, and having also, in addition to dirt and turf, you'll have the synthetic track. So there's a lot to look forward to, and it looks like a pretty athletic colt by Practical Joke, who, I mean, what do you stand for 100K this past breeding
So
season. I mean, he's reached. I mean, maybe not where Into Mischief is or Tap It or Uncle Mo, but he's a small step down. I mean, my point is, Practical Joke as a sire has reached a level very, very, very few stallions get to as far as a six-figure stud price.
yeah, and it's kind of happened really fast, which has been impressive to see. So always happy to get a practical joke in the stable again. And then we bought a filly a couple months ago. Now we get this one, and like you said, going New York bred program. I think I'm excited for the new Belmont Park. Like you said, we get all three of those surfaces, year-round racing up there, weather permitting, I hope. And I'm really excited about that, especially over the winter. Gives New York breds a place to run for some good money on a solid track, almost like what Turfway Park does here in Kentucky for a lot of the horses here that stay year round.
And it feels like the Practical Jokes, they do it all. I mean, turf, dirt, he'll give you a good turf horse, dirt horse. They can naturally sprint. They tend to have early speed, but he's not a horse that I see and I go, oh, that horse, because he's by Practical Joke, can't go a mile and a 16th or a mile and an eighth. I mean, he throws an array of quality horses. So very excited about the three OBS June buys. We'll catch up. We'll have Joe back in the fold next week, my friend. And yeah, bring it home, pal. So one Churchill starter for us this weekend, right? And it's
Yeah.
just the Queen late Saturday night.
Yep, just bobbing the big one in the grade two, which I do kind of chuckle about being a grade three last year. I think she had a good bit to do with that being bumped up to a grade two. So maybe if we can repeat there, who knows? Maybe we'll want to bump it up again, but I'm gonna try and not get ahead of myself.
Well, beautiful. We will not get ahead of ourselves either, but we want to wish everybody good luck. Our horses, good luck, safe trips. Looking forward to Cagino, Baba, Wrighton, and Fateful Lightning running Friday. In fact, I don't know if I mentioned this. I'm going to head downstate, assuming the weather's good. I might have been going off on that tangent. I think I'm going to head down to the Big A. And I did mention I don't have too many aqueduct trips remaining in my life. So yeah, probably head down to the Big A, hit a little Friday morning training, go oversee Shug and a few of our other horses at Belmont Park, and I will see you on Chatter. All right, keep those
Yeah,
Churchill morning vids coming, pal. I like seeing our
I will.
horses that are in Kentucky.
With the weather's been a little iffy here lately. It's a good bit of rain. So hopefully we can get some clear weather here soon, and I'll make go. I enjoy making the rounds out there, seeing all of our horses and our trainers and our partners, of course, as well, and when they're able to make it out. So it's one of my favorite things that I get to do working for West Point.
Absolutely. All right. We'll catch everybody on the flip side. Enjoy your day, enjoy your weekend, and we'll see you soon. And make sure to check out the three new dudettes from OBS June.